It's time for the Northwoods Cooking Show. Starring Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, the troublemaking dog.
Hello and welcome to the Northwoods Cooking Show. I'm your host, Uncle Roy, and on today's episode, we're going to be making Puttanesca, which is Italian. Basically, it's spaghetti in a tomato sauce, but the sauce is from scratch, of course. And our pasta is going to be from scratch too. Now, we made the spaghetti once before. We're going to be making it again today. So we're going to go through the routine of making the pasta, and we put this through the rollers and then through the cutters, and then it has to rest and sit for a few minutes here, a few minutes there, blah blah blah. So it's a little time consuming, but it's going to be just wonderful to eat because it's going to be so light and airy, and you know what ingredients you are putting into the recipe, so you're not going to have all that excessive salt or all those additives. So it's going to be all really fresh and really good. Now, if you have fresh tomatoes from your garden, which should be coming up pretty soon in this time of year as far as the taping goes, you can use those, which would be much, much better, and you get a huge difference in flavor. But we're going to be using the canned tomatoes, and canned tomatoes are just as good. They just don't have as a strong, pungent taste as fresh, homegrown tomatoes. Now, even the tomatoes you buy in the grocery stores, the hydroponics and everything else, and they're like not too much flavor to them. So if you can use your own homegrown ones, that's even better. But the canned ones work just as well too. So first of all, we're going to be making the pasta dough. So for this, we need 3 eggs. Now, if you can put your eggs at room temperature, it's always better because then they incorporate easier and nicer into your flours, etc. If not, you can just take and put them in a glass of hot water for like 10 minutes, and that'll warm them up. So we're going to 3 eggs along with 2 tablespoons of water. And 1 tablespoon of oil. Now, if you have extra virgin olive oil, that works even better. But I had to have my Wesson all vegetable oil, and that works really good too. You just don't want a real heavy scented or flavored oil like corn oil or even regular olive oil. If you use olive oil, get the extra virgin. You want a really light oil, the kind you use in dressings. Okay, so now let's mix this up just a little bit. Let's break up those eggs. And then we'll put in our flour, which is 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. And again, like I always say, make sure you level it off, because any excess is going to over dry it. Now, when we make the pasta dough, if it's too dry, you can always add a little water. If it's too moist, too sticky, then add a little flour. So it always varies depending upon your weather changes. High humidity, etc., etc. It makes a big difference. Okay, 1, 2 1/4. Okay, now we'll just mix this up. And then when that does, you can stop. And remove our paddle. And get all the dough off the paddle if we can, as much as possible. And then we're going to switch to our dough hook. So now we can knead this, and this is going to be kneaded for about 5 minutes. And you just want a low speed. 1 or 2 is fine. So while that's kneading, we'll be right back. Okay, now it's been 5 minutes. Boy, I thought the machine was going to go flying off the counter. Now, after I knead that for 5 minutes, I still like to take and just knead it on the counter for a little bit. About a minute, just to make sure that everything's incorporated. Because you want to feel kind of like a wet rubber band. You want to get that elasticity to the dough. And you can tell if it's dry or too wet. And this feels just great. It feels wonderful. Okay. Now we just let this rest for 20 minutes. Just wrap it in plastic. I'm just going to put it in a Ziploc bag and just squeeze out the air. And we just let this rest at room temperature for 20 minutes, and then we'll be right back to start folding and cutting. Okay, now while this is still resting, we can start on our pasta sauce. Now for this, I have approximately 2 or 3, depending on your taste, of anchovies diced up real tiny, minced them up. I'm just going to heat those up just for less than a minute. We just want to bring out the essential oils that are in the fish. And then we're going to put in about 3 cloves of garlic. Now we don't want to brown, well, you can brown the garlic. I don't like to brown garlic. I had a roommate once, he burnt garlic all the time. Oh, I just couldn't stand the smell. Sticking the whole house. Oh, I just hated that. But with garlic, you just want to heat it up just so that the natural oils can come out and bring out the flavors. Then, remember tomato paste? When that one episode I had, because you had the little cans of tomato paste, I only needed a couple tablespoons. Well, then I put the rest in a Ziploc bag in the freezer, and here we go. Coming to use. And so we just need 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. If I could just get it out. Come on. And then we just brown this off, cook this off for about 2 minutes. We want to bring that flavors out of the tomato paste. And just constantly keep stirring this because the paste will burn very easily. You just want to basically get these all blended together. We're going to be adding 2 cans of diced tomatoes, and these are like the 14, 15 ounce size. Along with a teaspoon of oregano, or oregano as they say. I think one of the chefs I watch on the cooking shows, he pronounces oregano. And basil instead of basil. And so we need a teaspoon of basil. And these are the leaves, not the ground powder, the leaves. And then there's a little salt and pepper to taste. Again, personal preference, a lot or a little. I use like about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper to a half, and then about a teaspoon of salt. Like I said, you know, canned products always have salt in them anyway because it's a preservative. So like I always tell you too, you can always put it in, but you can't take it out. So always, just a little at a time. If you need more, you can always put more in, Depends on your preference for saltiness. Or if you're watching your sodium intake too for your diets too. You have control over how much you put in. And if you have fresh garden tomatoes, you don't have to worry about it because there'd be no salt in there at all. Then you probably would put in a little bit more. Okay, so now we'll just turn this from medium-low to medium. And we'll just let this cook down for about 30 minutes and then we'll add more ingredients and be right back. Okay, now it's pasta time. Hoo-hoo. We'll take our dough of pasta and divide this into quarters. And we only work with 1/4 at a time. And take the other 3 and put back in your bag so they don't dry out. Or if you're just doing single serving, you can just put these other 3 in the freezer and take them out whenever you need to and thaw them out at room temperature and continue on at that point. Keep an eye on the sauce. It's about 30 minutes. Figuring out timing. You want this to reduce so you get like a thicker sauce. And then we're going to add more ingredients to that. Now, I'm going to flatten this out. Make sure I got my flour handy here. One thing about this is that you want to make sure that your dough is always well floured. You can always wipe off the excess, whatever. You just don't want it to get incorporated into it too much so that there's no flour. Then it will stick to your attachments. So you always want to make sure you got plenty of flour on hand. Now we're going to start out on level 1 and work our way down to 2, 3, 4, all the way to 4. And we start out with 3 times on 1, then twice on 2. And then once on 3 and 4. Does that make sense? I'll show you as we go along. Now just keep this on low. We don't need to have this, on high. Oh. This done one. So I just want to flatten out your piece of dough, 1/4 at a time, like I said. And we just slide it through the machine. Now we're going to do this 3 times. So once it goes through, just fold it in half and just run it through again. Come on. That's our 3rd time. Now we'll just switch, pull out, and twist to level 2. And we put this through twice now. Better than a little crank, huh? Alrighty, now we'll switch to level 3, and we just go once through. So every level gets tighter and tighter, and you can see the process getting longer and thinner. And then once on 4. Ooh. Lasagna noodles. Now I'm just going to make sure that I flour this. Just dust it well with flour. We want that sticking. Then we'll stop this and take out this attachment, and then we'll put in the spaghetti cutter. Tight. Make sure you got plenty of flour on it so it doesn't stick. And turn it on one. Skitties. Ah, look at that. Oh. Isn't that fun? Look at all the skitties. Oh. This is fun. Ooh, look at all that skitties. Now make sure you dust this off. Always make sure, because these are going to take and stick to each other if you don't have plenty of flour on this. You can always shake off the excess flour. We just want to get these well coated with flour because these are just freshly cut and they'll just stick together like one big clump. Always make sure you have plenty of flour on hand. Okay, so it's 1. Where do you want to go? So I'm just going to do one more and then I'm going to freeze the other 2. Because I'm not going to eat all that. That's just too much for one person. So let me just repeat this process that we just did, and then I'll get back to you with finishing up on our sauce. Okay, I'll just do the second one now. I got that back on 1. I'm going to keep plenty of flour on hand. Might get a little messy, but you get the idea. So remember, you do this 3 times on level 1. One, 2, and 3. And switch to level 2 and do this twice. And then again to level 3. And we just do this, go through once. And twist it to level 4. And then that goes through once. See? Once you start doing it, it's rather easy to do. Just got to get the hang of it. And again, we're going to dust that off. Switch our attachments to the spaghetti cutter. And just dust our pasta with plenty of flour. And just turn on to level 1. Ooh, skitties! Oh, skitties! Ooh. This is so fun. There you go. And just pick up your residual flour here and toss it. Make sure you get plenty coated with that flour so it doesn't stick together. I've had that happen before, and I've learned from my mistakes so that you don't make them. Otherwise you get one big clump of dough again. You want to toss it, plenty of flour. Now you can just take and freeze these too in packets too, and sit for about 10 minutes or so. Let those rest. And while that's resting, we can get the water boiling, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so now let's finish off the sauce here. This has become much thicker and saucier now after it's been reduced. You see that? Now to this, we're going to be adding 1 can of tomato sauce, 14.5, 15-ounce can. Seckables. Along with a 1/2 cup of Greek olives, which are the clamata, and these are pitted. Nothing worse than biting into one of those olives and get into a pit. Ooh, break a tooth. I used to work at Pam Sherman's in Uptown in the 80s, Lake and Hennepin. And we used to use clamata olives in a lot of her baking and cooking and stuff. And it's like, what a pain it was to pit. We had to pit the olives ourselves. They didn't come pitted. Oh my Lord. That was like an all days thing. Okay, so we got that in there, along with a teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. And again, you can do more or less, depending on your preference, if you like spicy, hot or not. Just a little kick. Now we'll turn this down to medium-low again. And we can let this rest and simmer in for about another 10 minutes while we're waiting for the water to boil and get our pasta ready. Now, when I took off these units, these attachments, all you need is a dry rag to wipe them off and put them in storage. Do not put them in the water. Do not put them in the dishwasher. Do not get them wet at all whatsoever. They're very expensive, and the gears inside, if get in contact with water, will rust and break, and you'll destroy your unit. So do not put those in water. They stay dry. You just take a dry rag and just wipe them off. And it comes with this little teeny tiny brush, so if you have anything in the gears, you can just pick them up and just, if you get any pasta caught in here, it just helps to wipe it out, whatever. But just don't get any moisture in here. Don't throw these in the water. Okay, so that's everything simmer, and then we'll be right back. Okay, now we can take and cook off our pasta. Now this is spaghetti, so it's thinner. Make sure you get that well coated. I'm going to shake that so it's not all sticking together. Then the water to the boil. And this only gets cooked for 1 minute. That's it. So it's very quick. So make sure you shake it so you don't get all clumpy. And fresh pasta itself cooks up really quickly. Remember when we made the raviolis? What was that? Squash ravioli and tomato basil soup? I think that was one year we did. And after it took forever to make them, but when you pop them in, it's like less than 3 minutes. Now for the spaghetti, you want this cooked off for only a minute. I'm tiny. And I'm just constantly stirring just so I don't have big clumps in there. And that's true with pasta anyway. If you stir it, 3-4 times that first minute, you don't need to throw in any oil or anything to keep it from sticking together. Just keep stirring it a couple of times here and there. Like I said, 3 or 4 times that first minute. And that keeps your pasta from sticking together. Okay, turn that on. And get out the good china presentation. There we are. And then I just have my pasta scoop. I'm not going to eat all that, but I want to get. I'm not going to eat any more than that, I tell you. But I'm going to have to get this out. Yeah, it's a hot plate. Kind of reminds me of almost like the ramen noodles. Noodlies. Ooh, that was Callie's favorite. She loved noodlies. Oh, she loved to eat noodles. That dog was so strange. She ate a lot of things. I think she only ate everything because I was making it. She had to have a sample, you know. Uncle Roy's eating it, then I gotta eat it. Okay, so we got our nice pasta here. And then our sauce. And if you have a little fresh basil, just chiffonade the leaves, roll them up really tightly, like a cigar almost, like a little cigarette. And then just take and thinly slice with your knife, and it breaks into little shreds, and then you have, it'll be just a beautiful garnish. I don't have any fresh basil, shoot. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this. Ooh, look at that, steaming hot. Ooh. So this is Puttanesca, an Italian spaghetti dish with homemade, I don't want to say marinara sauce because there's no other vegetables in there except for the olives. So I try to stay away from that. I'm tempted to say it all the time though. But it's this homemade spaghetti that we made ourselves with our own homemade pasta sauce. So from the Northwoods Cooking Show, I like to say, eat healthy, be safe, and spread the sunshine. Bye-bye.